Sweat beaded on Marcus Tate's brow as he stood in Atlanta's glittering ballroom, his tailored suit crisp, ready to seal a $3.3 billion deal. Victor Hargrove, tech titan, strode forward, his smile icy. Marcus extended his hand. Hargrove sneered, wiped his palm on his jacket and turned away, muttering a vile slur to his aide. Gasps echoed. Humiliated, Marcus pulled his phone, made one call, and yanked the funding. The room froze. Was this just a slight, or the spark of a war? Before diving in, let us know where you're watching from, and if you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe, because tomorrow's episode is a game changer you won't want to miss. Marcus Tate slumped in his high-back leather chair, the Atlanta skyline sprawling beyond his Buckhead office window, its glass towers glinting under a 90-degree sun. His fingers drummed the mahogany desk, each tap echoing the sting of last night's humiliation. The ballroom's polished floors, the clink of champagne flutes, Victor Hargrove's sneer as he wiped his hand, the whispered slur that sliced through the air. Boy. Marcus's jaw clenched. 38, a self-made venture capitalist, he'd clawed his way from a one-bedroom apartment in Decatur to a corner office, brokering deals that reshaped tech. $3.3 billion, the biggest of his career, vanished with one call. He didn't regret it. Hargrove's arrogance demanded a response, and Marcus delivered. But now the weight of that choice pressed against his chest. His team filtered into the boardroom, their faces taut. Aisha, his sharp-eyed COO, slid a tablet across the table. The headline screamed, "Tech Titan snubbed by black financier, deal." Collapses. Social media buzzed, some praising Marcus's boldness, others calling him reckless. Aisha's voice was steady. "We need to control the narrative, Marcus. If we don't, Hargrove will." Marcus nodded, his mind racing. Victor Hargrove, 55, silver-haired, with a grin like a shark, wasn't just a CEO. He was a kingmaker, with senators on speed dial, private jets on standby, and a knack for crushing anyone who crossed him. Marcus had seen it. Startups. Gutted, rivals bankrupted, all with Hargrove's polished chuckle. This wasn't a man who'd shrug off a public slight. "Let's hit back," Marcus said, his voice low but firm. He dialed a contact at TechBit, a scrappy blog with 1 million followers. Within hours, the story dropped. Hargrove's slur, the handshake snub, every detail laid bare. The internet erupted. Hashtags trended. Or Hargrove hates, or Marcus Tate fights. Protests flared outside Hargrove's downtown headquarters, a gleaming monolith of glass and steel. Marcus watched the chaos unfold on his laptop, a flicker of satisfaction warming his chest. He'd drawn first blood. His phone pinged with texts from allies, investors, even strangers. "Keep fighting," one read. "You're our voice," said another. For a moment he felt invincible, like he'd turned Hargrove's own game against him. Then the counterpunch landed. Aisha burst in, her face ashen. "Marcus, check your email." He opened his inbox and his stomach dropped. Hargrove's company, Apex Innovations, had cancelled a joint AI project with Marcus's firm Tate Ventures. $10 million in revenue gone. The press release was brutal, accusing Tate Ventures of instability and poor leadership. Marcus's team scrambled, crunching numbers. "We can survive this," Aisha said, "but we need new capital fast." Marcus's mind spun. He'd anticipated pushback, but not this swift, not this surgical. Hargrove wasn't just flexing. He was aiming to cripple. Marcus hit the phones, calling every investor in his Rolodex. Hours bled into midnight, his tie loosened, coffee cups piling up. Finally, a break. Eleanor Voss, a hedge fund queen from Chicago, pledged $15 million. Her voice crackled through the speaker. "I believe in you, Marcus. Let's bury that bigot." The team cheered, tension easing. Marcus leaned back, exhaustion tugging at his bones, but hope flaring. Voss's money would keep the lights on, maybe even fund a counter-offensive. He pictured Hargrove's face when the news broke, that smug grin faltering. For the first time, in 24 hours, Marcus slept, dreaming of a comeback. The next morning, his phone buzzed at 3 a.m. He fumbled for it, eyes bleary. An unknown number. "Mr. Tate," a voice rasped. "You should have stayed quiet." The line went dead. Marcus sat up, heart pounding. His inbox chimed. Hundreds of emails, all from the same anonymous account. He opened one and bile rose in his throat. Screenshots of forged emails, supposedly from Marcus, admitting he'd lied about Hargrove's slur. The messages painted him as a schemer, a conman who fabricated the incident for clout. Worse, they'd been sent to every client, every partner, every major player in tech. By dawn, 3 clients pulled out, citing trust issues. Losses mounted. $5 million, then 8. Tate. Ventures teetered on the edge of bankruptcy. Marcus stormed into the office, Aisha trailing him. "Who leaked this?" he demanded. The team exchanged glances, no one knew. Marcus's phone rang again. Elena Voss. Her tone was ice. "I'm out, Marcus. I can't back a fraud." He froze. "But you said—" She cut him off. "Those emails changed everything. Good luck." The line clicked. Marcus stared at the phone, the room spinning. $15 million gone. His lifeline severed. Aisha's voice broke through. "Marcus, we've got a bigger problem." She held up her tablet. "A new TechBit article, time-stamped an hour ago. Tate Ventures accused of fraud. Insider leaks expose Marcus Tate's lies." The byline was anonymous, but the details were surgical, twisting every deal Marcus ever closed into a scam. He sank into his chair, the weight crushing. Hargrove. This wasn't just retaliation, it was annihilation. The forged emails, the article, Voss's sudden exit, it all reeked of his hand. Marcus's team scrambled to trace the leaks, but servers showed no breaches. "How?" Marcus whispered. Aisha's eyes darkened. Someone on the inside. Marcus's blood ran cold. A traitor. Impossible. His team was family, hand-picked, loyal, but doubt crept in, a poison. He scanned their faces, searching for a tell. Nothing. His phone buzzed again. A text, no sender. "Back off, or it gets worse." Marcus's fingers tightened, knuckles whitening. Hargrove wasn't playing chess. He was burning the board. Marcus called an emergency meeting. "We fight this," he said, voice steel. "We sue for defamation, clear my name." Aisha hesitated. "Marcus, we're bleeding cash. Can we afford it?" He met her gaze. "We can't afford not to." They hired a lawyer, a bulldog named Carter who'd taken down corporate giants. Carter dug into the emails, finding inconsistencies, timestamps off, metadata faked. "It's a setup," he confirmed. "We can win this." Marcus exhaled, a spark of hope. He pictured the courtroom, Hargrove squirming under oath. Tate Ventures would survive. He'd rebuild, stronger, and shove Hargrove's defeat in his face. That night, Marcus worked late, drafting a press release to counter the smears. His office was silent, the city's hum faint through the windows. A notification pinged. Another email, this one from an untraceable server. He opened it, and his heart stopped. A video attachment. He clicked play. Grainy footage showed him meeting Voss, shaking hands, laughing. The audio was doctored, his voice warped to say, "Hargrove's a fool. I made it all up." The video cut to a fake email chain, Marcus confessing to his team. It was seamless, professional, devastating. The email's subject line read, "Release." At 6 a.m., Marcus checked his watch. 5 hours to go. He called Carter, voice shaking. "Can we stop this?" Carter's pause was grim. "If it's already out there, no." Marcus's mind raced. Hargrove had planned this, every step. The viral leak, the cancelled project, the forged emails, now this video. Each blow hit harder, faster, tearing his life apart. His phone buzzed again. Another text. "Your move, boy." Marcus's vision blurred, rage and fear colliding. He stood, pacing, the city lights mocking him. Hargrove thought he'd won, thought Marcus would break, but Marcus hadn't climbed this far to fold. He grabbed his laptop, fingers flying. If Hargrove wanted war, he'd get one. The next morning, the video hit. Social media exploded, hashtags shifting. Marcus Tate fraud, liar unmasked. Clients fled, losses climbing to $12 million. Reporters camped outside his office, shouting questions. Marcus ducked through a back exit, heart hammering. Aisha met him at a coffee shop, her face drawn. "We're done unless you pull a miracle," she said. Marcus nodded, eyes burning. "Then I'll pull one." He opened his laptop, drafting a new plan. Hargrove's empire was built on secrets, and Marcus knew where to dig. He'd find dirt, real dirt, and bury the bastard. But as he typed, a chill hit him. The traitor. Someone close was feeding Hargrove everything. Until he found them, every move was a gamble. Marcus Tate's phone burned hot in his pocket, buzzing with venom as he strode through Atlanta's humid streets, the 95-degree heat soaking his shirt. Death threats flooded his inbox, each one uglier than the last. Slurs, promises, full of violence, calls to run him out of town. The doctored video from Victor Hargrove's smear campaign had done its work, painting Marcus as a fraud who'd faked a racist snub for clout. Social media was a war zone. Hashtags like "Can't she Marcus Tate fraud" trending. His name dragged through the mud. He'd expected pushback after leaking Hargrove's slur, but this was a tidal wave, orchestrated with surgical precision. Hargrove, that silver-haired titan with a Rolodex of power, wasn't just fighting back. He was rewriting Marcus's life. 38, a black venture capitalist who'd built Tate Ventures from nothing, Marcus now faced a mob that saw him as a liar, a conman. His Buckhead office, once a beacon of his success, was surrounded by protesters, their signs vicious. Liar. Fraud. Go back to where you came from. Their chants echoed, slurs cutting through the air, each one a knife to his chest. He ducked into a side alley, heart-pounding, the weight of betrayal heavy. Someone inside his team had fed Hargrove the ammo, and he still didn't know who. Inside his office, Aisha, his COO, barricaded the door as glass bottles shattered against the windows. "We can't stay here," she whispered, her eyes darting. Marcus clenched his fists, rage simmering. He'd lost $10 million, then 12, clients fleeing like roaches from light. Hargrove's cancellation of their AI project had been the first blow, the forged emails the second. And now this video, a masterpiece of lies, had turned the world against him. But Marcus wasn't built to fold. He grabbed his laptop, hands steady despite the chaos. "We go public," he said. "Clear my name." Aisha hesitated. "They'll tear you apart." Marcus met her gaze, fire in his eyes. Let them try. He recorded a video, a raw and unscripted, his voice cracking as he recounted the ballroom snub, Hargrove's slur, the truth. "I'm no fraud," he said, staring into the camera. "I'm a man fighting for what's right." He posted it to every platform, holding his breath. The response was electric. The video went viral, racking up 2 million views in hours. Supporters flooded the comments. "Keep fighting, Marcus, we see you." Protests shifted, some turning on Hargrove's gleaming Apex Innovations Tower, where picketers waved signs. Hargrove hates. Marcus watched the tide turn from a safe house, a cramped apartment lent by a loyal friend. His chest loosened, hope flickering. The public was listening. Donations trickled in, small sums from strangers who believed him. Aisha, monitoring analytics, grinned. "You're trending for the right reasons now." Marcus exhaled, the first real breath in days. He'd clawed back ground, turned Hargrove's weapon against him. The traitor, whoever they were, hadn't stopped him. He pictured Hargrove's face, that smug grin faltering, and savored it. Tonight, he'd attend a gala, a low-key tech event, to rally more allies. He slipped into a fresh suit, the mirror, reflecting a man unbroken, ready to fight. The gala's chandelier light bathed the venue in gold, Atlanta's elite sipping cocktails, their laughter a stark contrast to the war outside. Marcus worked the room, shaking hands, pitching his comeback. Investors nodded, intrigued. A venture capitalist from Miami pledged $1 million to stabilize Tate Ventures. Marcus's smile widened, victory within reach. He stepped outside. For air, the night cool against his skin. Then shadows moved. 3 men, faces obscured, surged from the alley. Hargrove's hired thugs. Fists slammed into Marcus's ribs, his face blood pooling on the pavement. "Stay down, boy," one hissed, a slur spit with venom. Marcus curled, gasping, pain exploding. The thugs vanished as sirens wailed. Cops screeched up, but instead of helping, they yanked Marcus to his feet, cuffs biting his wrists. "Disorderly conduct," one growled, ignoring his bloodied face. The other smirked. "Hargrove sends his regards." Marcus's heart sank. The arrest was no accident. Hargrove's tentacles reached. The precinct at the station cameras flashed. Marcus's mugshot, bruised and swollen, leaked within minutes, plastered across every news site. Tate Ventures CEO arrested. Fraudster's downfall. The headlines screamed. Social media flipped again, doubters piling on. Told you he was trouble. Marcus sat in a cell, the concrete cold, his suit torn. The gaolers promised the $1 million pledge felt like a dream. Hargrove had played him, luring him into the open only to crush him. The cops' smirks, the thugs' slurs, the mugshots spread. It was all planned. Marcus's lawyer, Carter, bailed him out at dawn, his face grim. "They're not done," Carter warned. Marcus nodded, pain throbbing in his ribs. Hargrove wasn't fighting a man. He was dismantling an idea, the idea that a black man could challenge him and win. But Marcus's eyes burned. He'd fight even if it killed him. Comment number 1 if you're raging at Hargrove's dirty tricks. Hit like to stand with Marcus, and subscribe to see this battle unfold. Because the next chapter will leave you speechless. Can Marcus rise from this brutal betrayal, or will Hargrove's next move bury him for good? Marcus Tate limped through the door of his Atlanta townhouse, the 90-degree night air clinging to his bruised skin like a second wound. Blood crusted his split lip, his ribs screaming with every step from the alley beating, orchestrated by Victor Hargrove's thugs. The mugshot, now viral, branded him a criminal, his name a punchline across every newsfeed. Inside, Lena, his wife of 15 years, rushed to him, her eyes wide with fear, her hands trembling as she touched his swollen face. "Marcus, what happened?" she whispered, her voice cracking. Caleb, their 16-year-old son, stood frozen in the hallway, his fists clenched, anger masking the terror in his eyes. Marcus forced a smile, wincing. "Just a rough night," he said, but the lie hung heavy. He'd been released on bail, but the disorderly conduct charge, a gift from Hargrove's crooked cops, clung to him like damp rot. Tate Ventures teetered, clients gone, $12 million in losses piling up. The gala's promise of a comeback had been a trap, and Marcus had walked right into it. Lena guided him to the couch, her nurse's hands steady as she cleaned his wounds, antiseptic stinging worse than the pain. "You can't keep doing this," she said, her voice low but fierce. "They're not stopping." Marcus gripped her hand, his wedding band glinting under the lamp. "I won't let him win, Lena. Hargrove's a bully, and bullies break when you push back." But doubt gnawed at him. The forged emails, the doctored video, the traitor in his team. Hargrove's moves were a chessboard, and Marcus was bleeding on every square. Caleb, silent until now, exploded. "Why don't you just quit, Dad? They're going to kill you." Marcus's heart twisted. He wanted to shield his son, but the world kept ripping the armor away. The next morning, a knock shattered the quiet. 2 women in stiff suits stood at the door, badges gleaming. Child Protective Services. "Mrs. Tate, we've received a report," one said, her tone clipped. "Allegations of neglect, endangerment." Marcus's blood ran cold. Lena's face paled. "That's insane," she stammered. "Who filed this?" The women exchanged glances, unreadable. Anonymous tip, but the evidence is compelling. They cited Marcus's arrest, the viral mugshot, claims he'd exposed Caleb to danger. "We'll need to inspect the home," they said, pushing past. Marcus stood frozen, rage boiling. Hargrove. This was his hand, reaching into their sanctuary, twisting bureaucracy into a weapon. The inspection dragged, the women's pens scratching notes, their eyes cold. Caleb, ordered to his room, shot Marcus a look that cut deeper than any fist. Betrayal. Marcus called Carter, his lawyer, voice shaking. "Can they do this?" Carter's sigh was grim. "If Hargrove's got pull, they can do anything. We'll fight. But it's gonna cost." Marcus hung up, the townhouse walls closing in. Tate Ventures was hemorrhaging cash, and now this. He hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Rawls, to dig into the CPS report. Days bled into nights. Marcus barely sleeping, his phone buzzing with hate mail, slurs piling up like garbage. Rawls called a week later. "Got something," he said. "The reports are fake. Filed through a shell account tied to Apex Innovations." Hargroves. Fingerprints but buried deep. Marcus's chest loosened. He presented the evidence to CPS, Carter arguing their case like a pit bull. The agency backed off, closing the file. Lena wept, hugging Caleb tight. Marcus exhaled, relief washing over him. They'd dodged the bullet. He pictured Hargrove's face, that smug grin cracking, and vowed to hit harder. The victory was fleeting. That night, Marcus scrolled through his phone, checking for client emails, when a new tabloid headline flashed. "Tate abuses son, shocking photos, expose truth." His stomach dropped. Grainy images, clearly doctored, showed him yelling at Caleb, his hand raised, the boy cowering. The photos were everywhere, shared 10,000 times, comments vicious, monster, scum, lock him up. Marcus's hands shook. Lena stared at the screen, her voice a whisper. "This isn't you." "How?" Marcus knew how. Hargrove, always one step ahead, had turned their win into a trap. The photos weren't just lies, they were a signal, a promise of worse. Aisha called, her voice frantic. "Marcus, check your security. Cams." He pulled up the feed, heart pounding. A hooded figure had spray-painted their address on a public forum, doxing them. The post had 5,000 views, comments calling for blood. At 2 a.m., glass shattered. A brick crashed through the living room window, landing inches from Caleb, who screamed, scrambling back. Scrawled on it in jagged white paint, "Leave, boy." Lena clutched Caleb, her eyes wild. Marcus grabbed his phone, dialing 911, but the operator's voice was cold. "We'll send a unit when we can. Click." No sirens came. The message was clear. Hargrove's reach stretched to the police, leaving Marcus's family exposed. Lena's voice broke, tears streaming. "We have to leave, Marcus. Tonight." He looked at her, then Caleb, their faces etched with fear. His home, his sanctuary, was a target. Hargrove had escalated, turning personal humiliation into a public execution. Marcus's fists clenched, nails biting his palms. Fleeing felt like surrender, but staying meant risking their lives. He packed a bag, the weight of defeat crushing. Lena's words echoed, "You can't keep doing this," but quitting wasn't in him. Hargrove wanted him broken, his family scared, his name erased. Marcus's jaw tightened. He'd fight not just for himself, but for Lena, Caleb, every black man. Ground down by men like Hargrove, they slipped out the back, piling into their SUV, the night swallowing them. Marcus glanced at the rear view, the townhouse fading, a symbol of everything he'd lost. Hargrove thought this was checkmate. He was wrong. Marcus's eyes burned, plotting his next move, but a chill hit him. The traitor. Someone close was still feeding Hargrove, and until he found them, every step was a minefield. Marcus Tate's SUV rumbled through Atlanta's pre-dawn streets, the 92-degree air thick with humidity, his bruised knuckles gripping the wheel as Lena and Caleb slept fitfully in the back. The brick through their window, scrawled with a slur, had forced them to flee their home, doxed by Victor Hargrove's unseen hand. Marcus's townhouse, once a symbol of his climb from Decatur's cracked sidewalks to Buckhead's elite, was now a target, his family hunted. Tate Ventures bled cash, $12 million gone, clients scared off by forged emails, a doctored video, and a viral mugshot from a rigged arrest. Hargrove, the silver-haired CEO with a senator's ear, wasn't just winning. He was erasing. Marcus, 38, a black financier who dared to pull $3.3 billion after a racist snub. The traitor in Marcus's team, still unidentified, fed Hargrove every move, a ghost in his inner circle. But Marcus's jaw clenched, eyes fixed on the road. He'd find a way, always had. They checked into a dingy motel on the city's edge, neon flickering, walls thin as paper. Lena's eyes, red from crying, met his. "We're safe here, right?" Marcus nodded, but doubt gnawed. Nowhere felt safe. He needed capital to save Tate Ventures, to fight Hargrove's lies. His phone, nearly dead, pinged with a faint hope. A meeting with First Coastal Bank, a titan in finance. If he could land their backing, he'd stabilize his firm, maybe expose Hargrove's empire. Marcus shaved in the motel's cracked mirror, his reflection a map of bruises from the alley beating, but his suit was sharp, his smile sharper. He kissed Lena, hugged Caleb, and drove to the bank's downtown tower, its glass facade gleaming under a merciless sun. The boardroom smelled of leather and power, First Coastal's execs in tailored suits, their eyes skeptical but curious. Marcus stood tall, his voice steady, pitching a new fund. AI-driven startups, high returns, a chance to reshape tech. He wove in his story, the handshake snub, Hargrove's slur, the smears. "I'm not a fraud," he said. "I'm a man who fights." His charisma. Landed, the room leaning in. The bank's CEO, a wiry man named Kessler, nodded. "We're in, Tate. $50 million. Marcus's chest swelled, a grin breaking through. Handshakes sealed it, applause rippling. He called Aisha, his COO, voice buzzing. "We're back," he said. She laughed, relief palpable. Marcus drove to the motel, imagining Hargrove's rage when the deal hit the news. Tate Ventures would rise, and he'd bury that bigot. That night, he took Lena and Caleb to a diner, the first real meal in days. Caleb, usually sullen, cracked a smile over fries. Lena squeezed Marcus's hand. "You did it," she whispered. For a moment, the weight lifted, the traitor's shadow fading. Marcus pictured his firm rebuilt, Hargrove's smirk wiped clean, but as they left, his phone rang. Kessler. "Marcus, we're pulling out," the CEO said, voice flat. "Reputational risks." Marcus froze, fries turning to ash in his mouth. "What changed?" he asked. Kessler hung up. Marcus's screen lit up with alerts. Apex Innovations stock surged, a press release crowing about new partnerships. Hargrove's golf buddy Kessler had flipped, a puppet on a string. Before Marcus could process, Aisha texted, "Emergency. Office breach." He sped to Tate Ventures, heart hammering. The office was chaos, servers fried, client data leaked online, contracts, financials, personal details. Hackers had gutted them, exposing thousands to identity theft. Aisha's face was grim. "This wasn't random, Marcus, it's Hargrove." Marcus's blood boiled. The $50 million lifeline snuffed out, now this. Clients called, furious, threatening lawsuits. Losses climbed to $15 million. Then, sirens. FBI agents stormed in, badges flashing. "Marcus Tate, you're under investigation." "For cybercrimes," one barked, cuffing him. The warrant cited the breach, claiming Marcus orchestrated it to defraud clients. His team watched, stunned, as agents trashed the office, seizing laptops, files, everything. In interrogation, Marcus's voice shook. "I'm being framed. Check the servers. It's Hargrove." The agent smirked, tossing a file. "Your fingerprints are all over this, Tate." Marcus's stomach dropped. Impossible. He'd been at the bank, the diner, nowhere near the servers, but the evidence was airtight. Logs showing his login, emails from his account ordering the hack. Carter, his lawyer, arrived face pale. "They've got enough to bury you," he whispered. Marcus's mind raced. Hargrove's reach was endless, bribing cops, judges, now feds. The traitor had struck again, planting digital fingerprints. As Marcus was released pending charges, Aisha met him outside, eyes hard. "Partners are bailing, Marcus. We're done." He stared at her, the woman who'd stood by him since day one. Was she the leak? He couldn't tell, trust eroding like sand. Clients sued, $20 million in claims piling up. Tate Ventures' name, once gold, was poison. Marcus drove, back to the motel, the city's lights mocking him. Hargrove had turned his victory, the bank deal, into a noose, then tightened it with the hack, the feds, the lawsuits. Every step Marcus took, Hargrove was 3 ahead, his empire a machine of hate, crushing a black man who dared defy him. Lena waited, her face etched with worry. "What now?" she asked. Marcus's fists clenched, nails biting. "We dig," he said. Hargrove's. "Got dirt and I'll find it." But as he spoke, a chill hit. The FBI's file named a witness, a partner who'd turned. Someone close had sold him out, and Hargrove was laughing. Comment number 1, if you're boiling at Hargrove's ruthless sabotage, smash that like to rally behind Marcus and subscribe to catch the next twist, because this fight's about to explode. Will Marcus unmask the traitor and strike back, or is Hargrove's next blow the one that breaks him? Marcus Tate sat in the dim motel room, the 90-degree Atlanta night pressing through the cracked window, his bruised hands trembling as he scrolled through news on a borrowed laptop. Tate Ventures was a carcass, gutted by Victor Hargroves. Relentless war. $12 million lost, then 15, now 20 million in lawsuits from clients burned by a hacker breach pinned on Marcus. The FBI's cybercrime probe, with fake logs tying him to the attack, loomed like a guillotine. His family, Lena and Caleb, slept fitfully on a sagging mattress, exiled from their doxed townhouse after a brick, scrawled with a slur, shattered their safety. Hargrove, the silver-haired CEO who'd snubbed Marcus's handshake and whispered a slur, wasn't just dismantling his firm, he was torching his life. 38, a black financier who'd defied a titan, Marcus faced a traitor. In his ranks, someone feeding Hargrove every move. The FBI file named a partner but no face. Trust was ash, and Marcus was choking on it. He barely slept, eyes burning as he scoured Apex Innovations' public filings, hunting for a crack in Hargrove's empire. Lena stirred, her voice soft. "You're killing yourself, Marcus." He shook. His head, "If I stop, he wins." She didn't argue, but her silence cut. Caleb, 16, avoided his gaze, resentment simmering. Marcus's phone, a burner to dodge trackers, buzzed with a tip from Rawls, his PI. "Found something," Rawls rasped. "Apex's offshore accounts, shady deals, millions funneled to shell companies. It's dirty, but you need more to nail him." Marcus's pulse quickened. Dirt meant leverage. He contacted Zara, a journalist at the Atlanta Pulse known for gutting corrupt CEOs. "Meet me," he texted, sending her Rawls's files. Zara replied, "This is big. Let's break it." They met in a dive bar, neon buzzing, air thick with grease. Zara, sharp-eyed, scanned the docs. "If this checks out, Hargrove's done," she said. Marcus nodded, hope flickering. He'd lost the bank deal, $50 million to Hargrove's golf buddy. The gala had ended in a beating, then a rigged arrest. But this, exposing Apex's crimes, could turn the tide. Zara worked fast, her expose hitting online at midnight. Apex Innovations linked to illegal offshore deals. The story exploded, Apex's stock plunging 10% by dawn. Social media roared, their Hargrove falls trending, protesters swarming Apex's tower. Marcus watched from the motel, a grin breaking through. Zara's piece named no sources, shielding him, but the damage was done. Hargrove's empire wobbled, and Marcus stood taller, imagining that smug grin cracking. He hugged Lena, whispering, "We're fighting back." Caleb, watching silently, nodded, a spark of pride in his eyes. The victory burned out fast. Marcus stepped. Out for air, the motel's parking lot quiet, stars faint above. A cop car screeched up, lights blinding. "Hands up, Tate!" An officer barked, gun drawn. Marcus froze, heart hammering. "What's this about?" The cop smirked. "Drug trafficking." "Check." "Your car." Marcus's SUV, parked 10 feet away, was swarmed. Another officer pulled a brick of white powder from the trunk, holding it like a trophy. "That's not mine," Marcus shouted, but cuffs snapped on, biting his wrists. At the precinct, the setup was clear. The drugs planted, the stop planned. The lead cop, a burly man with a scar, leaned close. "Hargrove says hello," he whispered, a slur in his grin. Marcus's blood ran cold. Hargrove, cornered by the expose, had struck back, twisting Marcus's win into a trap. The frame-up was flawless. Dashcam conveniently off, paperwork airtight. Jail was a concrete hell, the cell reeking of sweat and bleach. Marcus sat, ribs aching from the alley beating, mind racing. Hargrove's reach, cops on payroll, was a vice, squeezing tighter. Lena couldn't know yet. Caleb would break. Hours dragged, then shouts echoed. Inmates, hulking shadows, cornered. "Him in the yard! Traitor snitch," one growled, a shiv glinting. Marcus dodged, fists up, but they were too many. A blade sliced his arm, blood soaking his sleeve. He fought, landing a punch, but a fist cracked his jaw, vision blurring. Guards watched, smirking, Hargrove's network deep in the walls. A whistle finally broke it up, Marcus collapsing, gasping, blood pooling. The infirmary stitched him, but the message was carved. Hargrove wanted him dead. Lena bailed him out. Her savings drained, her face a mask of fear and fury. At the motel, she bandaged his arm, tears falling. "You can't win this, Marcus." He gripped her hand, voice steady. "I have to." Caleb, silent, stared at the floor, his faith in his father fraying. Marcus's phone buzzed, a news alert. Tate arrested for drug trafficking, mugshot leaks. The photo, his face bruised, arm bleeding, was everywhere, shared 50,000 times. Comments were a sewer. Drug lord, thug, lock him up forever. Hargrove's media machine spun him as a kingpin, the expose forgotten, Apex's stock creeping back up. Marcus's name, once a beacon, was a curse. Zara texted, "They're burying my story, I'm sorry." Marcus's chest tightened. Hargrove had played him again, the journalist's scoop a decoy to lure him into this noose. He stood, pacing the motel's thin walls vibrating with traffic. The traitor, still faceless, had tipped Hargrove about Zara. Every move Marcus made, every fight, fed the beast. He needed proof, something undeniable, to burn Apex down. Rawls's files hinted at more. Apex's deals tied to racist lobbying, maybe worse. Marcus's eyes burned, rage drowning fear. Hargrove thought jail, a shiv, a mugshot would break him. Wrong. He'd dig deeper, risk everything for Lena, Caleb, for every black man crushed by men like Hargrove. But as he planned, a chill hit. The cops' smirk, the inmates' shivs, they weren't the end. Hargrove's next move would be worse, and Marcus wasn't ready. Marcus Tate's arm throbbed under the motel's flickering light, the stitches from the jailhouse shiv attack, pulling tight as he hunched over his burner phone, the Atlanta night stifling at 93 degrees. Blood crusted his sleeve, a reminder of Victor Hargrove's reach, from crooked cops to inmates on his payroll. Tate Ventures was a ghost, $20 million in lawsuits burying it, the FBI's cybercrime probe and a drug trafficking frame-up, branding Marcus a kingpin. Lena and Caleb, his wife and son, sat across the room, their eyes hollow, their townhouse abandoned after a doxing and a brick scrawled with a slur. Hargrove, the silver-haired CEO who'd snubbed Marcus's handshake with a racist slur, had turned a $3.3 billion deal's collapse into a personal crusade, dismantling Marcus's life with forged emails, doctored videos, and a traitor in his ranks. 38, a black financier who'd risen from nothing. Marcus felt the walls closing in, trust shattered, but his jaw clenched, refusing to break. He scrolled through news, Zara's expose on Apex Innovations' shady deals now buried under. His latest mugshot, shared 60,000 times, comments venomous, thug, dealer. Hargrove's media machine had erased Marcus's victory, Apex's stock climbing back. Lena's voice cut through, soft but sharp. "You can't fight alone, Marcus." He nodded, an idea sparking. Atlanta's activist community, vibrant and fierce, could amplify his voice. He reached out to Reverend Ellis, a pastor whose church had rallied against racism for decades. Ellis's reply was swift. "Come to the community center, Tate. We'll stand with you." Marcus's chest loosened, hope flickering. If he could rally the streets, Hargrove's lies would crumble. He kissed Lena, hugged Caleb, whose sullen silence softened slightly, and drove to the center, a modest brick building buzzing with energy. The room was packed, faces black, brown, young, old, all nodding as Marcus spoke, his voice raw. "Hargrove's. Not just after me," he said. "He's after what I represent, a black man who won't bow." He recounted the snub, the beating, the frame-up, the truth. The crowd roared, fists raised. Ellis, grizzled and commanding, took the mic. "We march on Apex," he declared. Protests erupted. Hundreds outside Apex's glass tower, signs blazing. Again, Hargrove hates, justice for Tate. News crews swarmed, the story flipping. Marcus, the victim, not the villain. Social media buzzed. Tate fights back trending. 1 million views. In hours, Hargrove, cornered, issued a public apology, a stiff video claiming misunderstanding, his eyes cold. Marcus watched from the center, a grin breaking. The pastor's fire, the crowd's roar, it was working. He pictured Hargrove squirming, his empire wobbling, and felt alive, unstoppable. The tide turned too fast. That night, Marcus returned to the motel, Lena smiling for the first time in weeks. "We're winning," she said. He nodded, but unease gnawed. Hargrove didn't bend this easily. His phone buzzed. A text from Aisha, his CO. Trouble at the center. Marcus sped over, heart pounding. The center was trashed, windows smashed, slurs spray-painted across the walls. Traitor. Fraud. Ellis stood amid the wreckage, face ashen. "It's worse," he said, handing Marcus a tablet. A press release from the church signed by Ellis accused Marcus of dividing the community, exploiting their trust for personal gain. Marcus's stomach dropped. "Reverend, you wrote this?" Ellis shook his head, eyes down. "They got to me, Tate. A donation, $2 million wired to the church. I had no choice." Marcus's blood boiled. Hargrove. The apology was a decoy, the donation a bribe, turning Marcus's allies against him. Protesters, once his shield, turned feral. Crowds swarmed the center, chanting "liar, sellout," their signs now targeting Marcus. Social media flipped. Adam Tate betrays trending, comments vicious, hypocrite, user. A Molotov cocktail sailed through the center's broken window, flames licking the walls. Marcus grabbed Ellis, sprinting out as fire roared, sirens distant. His car parked nearby was vandalized, tires slashed, a slur carved into the hood. He drove back to the motel, hands shaking, the city's lights blurring. Lena's face fell as he recounted the betrayal. Caleb, silent, slammed his fist into the wall. "You said you'd fix this, Dad." Marcus's heart cracked. The community, his last bastion, had been bought, Hargrove's money a poison spreading. Faster than truth. He stood pacing, the motel's thin carpet worn under his steps. Hargrove had played him again, turning his win, the protests, into a noose. The traitor, still faceless, had tipped Hargrove about Ellis, ensuring the bribe landed. Marcus's mind raced, Rawls's files echoing, Apex's racist lobbying deeper. Crimes. He needed to hit harder, expose Hargrove's core, but the pastor's betrayal cut deeper than the shiv, trust bleeding out. Lena's voice was a whisper. "What now, Marcus?" His eyes burned, rage drowning despair. "We keep fighting," he said, but a chill hit. Hargrove's next move would be crueler, and Marcus was running out of allies. Comment number 1 if you're gutted by Ellis's betrayal. Hit like to stand with Marcus's fight and subscribe to see this war escalate, because the next chapter will shock you. Can Marcus rebuild from this community stab, or will Hargrove's next strike shatter him completely? Marcus Tate's reflection stared back from the motel's cracked mirror, his eyes bloodshot, stitches on his arm itching under the dim light. The Atlanta night, heavy at 91 degrees. The Shiv attack in jail. The Molotov cocktail at the community center. Reverend Ellis's betrayal. All bore Victor Hargrove's mark, the silver-haired CEO whose racist snub had ignited this war. Tate Ventures was dead. $20 million in lawsuits and a rigged FBI probe for cybercrimes and drug trafficking burying Marcus's name. Lena and Caleb, his wife and son, huddled in the motel, their townhouse lost to a doxed address and a slur-scrawled brick. 38. A black financier who'd pulled $3.3 billion to defy Hargrove. Marcus was a pariah, the traitor in his team still faceless, feeding Hargrove every step. The pastor's $2 million bribe had turned the community against him, their chants of liar echoing louder than the truth. But Marcus's jaw clenched, his pulse steady. Hargrove wanted him broken, but he'd built his life on fighting odds. He sat at the motel's wobbly table, laptop open, Rawls's files spread out. The PI's last report hinted at Apex Innovations' dirt. Racist lobbying, maybe fraud. Marcus needed a knockout, something to burn Hargrove's empire down. Carter, his lawyer, had one shot left. A defamation lawsuit. Hargrove's smears, forged. Emails, doctored videos, the viral mugshots, had painted Marcus a fraud, a dealer. Carter dug up emails, real ones, from an Apex exec bragging about framing Tate. "These are gold," Carter said, slamming the file. "We'll sue, make Hargrove bleed." Marcus nodded, hope flickering. A courtroom could clear his name, save his family, maybe resurrect Tate Ventures. He pictured Hargrove squirming under oath, that smug grin gone. Lena, watching, squeezed his hand. "Be careful," she whispered. Caleb, silent, stared at the floor, his faith in his father a fraying thread. The lawsuit hit like a bomb. Carter filed in federal court. The complaint detailing Hargrove's campaign. The snub, the smears, the beating, the frame-ups. Media swarmed, headlines shifting. Tate sues Apex CEO for defamation. Social media buzzed. Darn, Tate fights back, creeping. Up, comments mixed. "Hero or hustler?" Marcus testified, voice steady, recounting every blow the emails laid bare. The judge, a stern woman with grey curls, nodded, her gavel sharp. Hargrove's lawyers, a pack of suits, fumbled, their denials weak. The ruling came fast. Marcus won, $20 million awarded. Hargrove ordered to retract his lies. The courtroom cheered, Lena weeping in the gallery. Marcus exhaled, relief flooding. He hugged Carter, grinning. "We did it," he said. Outside, reporters mobbed him, cameras flashing. Tate Ventures could rebuild, his name half cleared. He imagined Hargrove's fury, Apex's stock dipping, and savored it. The victory was a mirage. 2 days later, Marcus woke to a text from Carter. Appeal filed. Meet me. At Carter's office, the lawyer's face was grim. Hargrove's team, backed by Apex's billions, had bribed the appellate judge, a known crony. The ruling flipped, Marcus's win erased. Worse, Hargrove countersued for frivolous litigation, claiming Marcus's lawsuit was a scam to extort Apex. The new judge, a Hargrove ally, slammed Marcus with a $30 million penalty, citing bad faith. Marcus's stomach dropped, the room spinning. Carter's voice was low. "They're seizing your assets, Marcus, everything." Bailiffs moved fast, padlocking the townhouse, repossessing their SUV, draining bank accounts. Marcus, Lena, and Caleb were homeless, their savings gone, forced back to the motel, its roach-infested walls a fresh hell. Lena's eyes, once fierce, were dull. "What now?" she asked, voice hollow. Caleb didn't speak, his silence louder than rage. As they unpacked their few belongings, a new blow landed. Marcus's phone buzzed, a news alert. Tate family evicted, Apex CEO vindicated. The story spun Hargrove as a victim, Marcus a grifter who'd gambled and lost. Social media erupted. Tate down trending, comments vicious, leech, loser. Then a knock. Marcus opened the door, expecting delivery. Instead, 3 men, faces hard, stood in the lot, crowbars in hand. One smirked, a slur in his teeth. "Hargrove says stay out of court, boy." They slashed the motel's tires, metal screeching, then vanished. Marcus stood frozen, Lena clutching Caleb, the night swallowing their hope. The lawsuit, his lifeline, was a trap, the emails a lure to bankrupt him. Hargrove's reach, judges to thugs, was a machine, each gear grinding Marcus down. He sat on the motel bed, head in hands, the weight crushing. The traitor, still hidden, had tipped Hargrove about the lawsuit, ensuring the bribe landed. Rawls's files, now his only weapon, hinted at Apex's deeper crimes. Maybe money laundering tied to racist networks. Marcus needed proof, but every move risked more. Lena's voice broke through. "You can't keep losing us, Marcus." He looked at her, Caleb's eyes boring into him, and nodded. "I won't," he said, but fear gnawed. Hargrove's next strike would be worse, personal, lethal. Marcus's fists clenched, nails biting. He'd fight for them, for every black man crushed by men like Hargrove, but the cost was climbing, and he was running out of blood. Marcus Tate slumped on the motel's threadbare bed, the 90-degree Atlanta night seeping through the walls, his stitched arm throbbing as roaches skittered across the floor. Victor Hargrove's war had stripped everything. Tate Ventures, dead under $30 million in lawsuits and rigged charges for cybercrimes and drug trafficking. His townhouse, seized after a bribed judge flipped his defamation win. His family, Lena and Caleb, now homeless, their eyes hollow with fear. The community, once allies, had turned, bought by Hargrove's $2 million bribe to Reverend Ellis, their Molotov cocktail nearly burning Marcus alive. 38, a black financier who'd yanked $3.3 billion after Hargrove's racist snub. Marcus was a pariah, his name poison, the traitor in his ranks still feeding Hargrove's machine. Crowbar-wielding thugs had slashed their tires, a slur-laced warning from Hargrove to stay down. But Marcus's jaw clenched, his pulse a drumbeat. He'd risen from nothing before, he'd do it again. Lena's voice, brittle, cut through. "We can't live like this, Marcus." Caleb, 16, stared at the wall, his silence a blade. Marcus nodded. Rawls's file's his last weapon. The PI's notes hinted at Apex Innovations' rot, racist algorithms, maybe laundering. He needed a platform, a megaphone to expose Hargrove. "Hey," text pinged, a lifeline. Jasmine Cole, a TV host at Channel 7 offering an interview. "Your story's resonating, Tate," she wrote. "Let's tell it." Marcus's chest stirred, hope flickering. A live broadcast could shift the narrative, rally the public, maybe spark an investigation. He met Jasmine at a diner, her eyes sharp, recorder on. "Why keep fighting?" she asked. Marcus leaned in, voice steady. "Because Hargrove's not just after me. He's after every black man who dares rise." She nodded, booking him for prime time. The studio was a blaze of lights, cameras humming, the air chilled to 60 degrees. Marcus, in a borrowed suit, sat across Jasmine, her questions sharp but fair. He bared it all, the handshake snub, the slur, the beating, the frame-ups, the betrayal. "My family's paying for my fight," he said, voice cracking, "but I won't bow." The audience, live and at home, leaned in, gasps echoing. Social media lit up. Ma and Tate Speaks trending, comments flooding. He's telling the truth. Hargrove's a snake. Donations poured in, $10,000, then 50, strangers wiring money to a fund Jasmine set up. Marcus's phone buzzed, Aisha texting, "You're back, boss." By the broadcast's end, they'd raised $200,000, enough to rent a small apartment, escape the motel. Marcus hugged Jasmine, gratitude swelling. Lena smiled, Caleb's eyes softening. The public believed him. Hargrove's, lies cracking. Marcus pictured Apex's stock dipping, that silver-haired grin faltering, and savored it. The win was a trap. Morning brought a new alert. Channel 7 airs doctored Tate interview, sparks outrage. Marcus's stomach dropped. A clip, spliced by Hargrove's team, hit every platform. His voice warped to sound unhinged, ranting about conspiracies, slurring Hargrove with lies. The full interview, buried, was replaced by this lie, shared 1 million times. Comments turned, "Vicious, liar, nutcase." Channel 7 fired Jasmine, citing breach of ethics, her career torched. Donors demanded refunds, the $200,000 vanishing, banks freezing the fund under fraud claims. Marcus's phone burned with hate, slurs piling up, freak, con man. Lena's face paled, Caleb slamming the door. Marcus stood frozen, the studio's lights now a cruel memory. Hargrove had hijacked his voice, turned truth into madness. That night, shouts echoed outside the motel. A mob, 50 strong, surrounded the lot, faces twisted, chanting slurs, signs, scrawled "Tate out." Hargrove's propaganda, the doctored clip, had riled them, his media machine pointing the finger. Gunshots cracked, bullets grazing the motel's walls, glass shattering. Marcus shoved Lena and Caleb to the floor, his body shielding them, heart hammering. "Get down!" he yelled, glass cutting his palm. The mob roared, a bottle smashing inches from Caleb's head. Police sirens wailed, but no cars came. Hargrove's grip on the force of steel wall. Marcus crawled to the window, peering out. The mob wasn't random. Faces matched Apex's security, hired muscle cloaked as protesters. Hargrove's escalation, from lies to bullets, was a death sentence. They escaped through a back exit, piling, into a cab, the driver's eyes wide as Marcus begged, "Just drive." The motel burned in the rearview, flames licking the night. Lena clutched Caleb, sobbing. Marcus's mind raced, the doctored clip a masterstroke, Hargrove's team predicting his TV move. The traitor, still hidden, had tipped them, ensuring the splice hit. Rawls's files, now his only shot, needed a bigger stage, maybe federal. But trust was gone. Aisha, Carter, even Jasmine, all suspect. Marcus's fists clenched, blood dripping from his palm. Hargrove thought bullets would end him. Wrong. He'd fight for Lena, Caleb, for every black man crushed. But the mob's shots rang in his ears. Hargrove's next move, a shadow looming, larger than ever. Comment number 1 if you're furious at Hargrove's vile manipulation. Smash that like to cheer Marcus on, and subscribe to witness this battle's next shock, because the stakes are about to skyrocket. Will Marcus turn Hargrove's lies into a weapon, or has this public crucifixion pushed him past the breaking point? Marcus Tate crouched in a safe house, a crumbling Decatur apartment with peeling walls and a single bulb flickering in the 90-degree Atlanta night, his stitched arm aching as he typed furiously on a stolen laptop. Gunshots from the motel mob, orchestrated by Victor Hargrove's hired muscle, still echoed in his ears, the bullets missing Lena and Caleb by inches. Tate Ventures was ash, $30 million in lawsuits and rigged charges for cybercrimes and drug trafficking burying it. Their townhouse, seized after a bribed judge flipped his defamation win, was gone, their motel refuge torched. Hargrove, the silver-haired CEO whose racist snub sparked this war, had turned Marcus's TV interview, a fleeting triumph, into a doctored clip branding him a lunatic, costing $200,000 in donations. 38, a black financier who'd pulled $3.3 billion to defy Hargrove, Marcus was America's villain, the traitor in his ranks, feeding every move to Apex Innovations' machine. Lena's eyes, once fierce, were dull. Caleb's silence screamed resentment, but Marcus's jaw clenched, his pulse a war drum. He'd fight, even if it killed him. The safe house lent by a childhood friend was a fortress of shadows, windows boarded, air thick with mold. Lena whispered, "We can't stay long, Marcus." He nodded. Rawls's files, his last weapon. The PIs. Notes smuggled before the motel attack exposed Apex's racist hiring algorithm, coded to screen out black applicants, buried in their HR software. Marcus hacked Apex's servers, his old coding skills sharp, slipping past firewalls with a burner VPN. He found the algorithm's source code, emails from Hargrove greenlighting it, and a trail to offshore accounts. This was dynamite, enough to spark a federal probe. He contacted the SEC, anonymizing his IP, and sent the files detailing Apex's bias. "If this lands, Hargrove's done," he told Lena. Her nod was faint, Caleb's stare cold. Marcus's chest tightened, their doubt a heavier blow than any fist. The SEC moved fast, announcing a probe into Apex Innovations for discriminatory practices. News hit like lightning. Apex's stock tanking 15% in hours, protesters swarming their glass tower, chanting justice for Tate. Social media exploded. Hargrove exposed trending, 2 million views, comments raging, "Burn Apex down." Marcus watched from the safe house, a grin breaking. The algorithm's leak, untraceable to him, was a direct hit, Hargrove's empire bleeding. Lena hugged him, a flicker of hope in her eyes. Caleb, silent, cracked a faint smile. Marcus pictured Hargrove's panic, that smug grin gone, his boardroom, in chaos. The SEC's probe could lead to fines, maybe jail. For the first time in months, Marcus felt the tide turn, his family safe, his fight alive. He slept, dreaming of a courtroom, Hargrove in cuffs. The dream shattered at dawn. Sirens wailed. Boots thundering outside. SWAT breached the safe house, tear gas flooding. Lena and Caleb choking as Marcus shouted, "Get down!" Armored agents, rifles drawn, pinned him to the floor, cuffs biting his wrists. "You're under arrest, Tate," one barked. Cyber-terrorism, hacking. Apex's servers. Marcus's heart sank, the laptop screen still glowing with Apex's files. The warrant flashed in his face, cited the SEC leak, claiming Marcus orchestrated a terrorist hack to destabilize Apex. Lena screamed, Caleb's eyes wild as agents dragged Marcus out. News vans swarmed, cameras flashing, headlines screaming. Tate, named domestic extremist. Hargrove's media machine spun him as a radical, the algorithm leak twisted into an attack on America's economy. His face, bruised and cuffed, plastered every newsstand, shared 3 million times comments venomous. Terrorist. Traitor. In interrogation, Marcus's voice shook. I exposed the truth. Check the files, it's Hargrove's algorithm. The agent smirked, tossing a dossier. Your IP's all over the hack, Tate. Evidence airtight showed Marcus's burner VPN, his login, even a fake manifesto emailed from his account, calling for Apex's destruction. Carter, his lawyer, arrived, face pale. They've got you dead. To rights, he whispered. Marcus's stomach dropped. Impossible. He'd covered his tracks, used proxies. Hargrove's team, tech wizards, had framed him, planting digital fingerprints. The traitor, still hidden, had tipped them, ensuring the hack traced back. As Marcus was processed, TV screens in the precinct blared Apex's press conference. Hargrove, solemn, vowing to rebuild, his stock creeping up. The SEC probe, buried under Marcus's arrest, faded, protesters dispersing. Lena and Caleb, released but shaken, met Marcus at the station, bail draining their last savings. Lena's voice was a whisper. You promised we'd be safe. Caleb's glare cut deeper, his faith in his father gone. Marcus's phone returned, buzzed with alerts. Tate's terror plot rocks tech world. The safe house, now exposed, was raided, Rawls's files seized, his only evidence gone. Hargrove had played him, the algorithm leak a baited hook, drawing Marcus into a federal trap. The traitor, maybe Aisha, Carter, or someone closer, had ensured it landed. Marcus's fists clenched, blood seeping from his stitches. Hargrove thought a terrorist label would end him. Wrong. He'd find another way, dig deeper for Lena, Caleb, for every black man crushed. But as they fled to a new hideout, a chill hit. Hargrove's next move would be bloodier, and Marcus was out of moves. Marcus Tate hid in a new hideout, a derelict warehouse on Atlanta's outskirts. The 90-degree night air thick with dust and the stench of rust, his stitched arm burning as he hunched over a burner phone. The SWAT raid on the safe house. Tears. Gas-choking Lena and Caleb still haunted him. The terrorist label pinned on Marcus for hacking Apex Innovations' racist algorithm, a noose tightening. Tate Ventures was gone. $30 million in lawsuits and rigged charges for cybercrimes, and drug trafficking erasing it. Their townhouse seized, their motel torched by a mob left them rootless. Victor Hargrove, the silver-haired CEO whose racist snub sparked this war, had twisted Marcus's SEC leak into a federal manhunt, his face on every newsstand, branded a domestic extremist. 38, a black financier who'd defied Hargrove's $3.3 billion deal. Marcus was hunted, the traitor in his ranks feeding Apex's machine. Lena's eyes held despair, Caleb's silence a wall, but Marcus's jaw clenched, his pulse a defiant beat. He'd fight for them, for justice, even if it meant dying. The warehouse, a maze of crates and shadows, was a last resort, secured through a hacker contact, Ghost, who ran an underground collective exposing corporate rot. Marcus met Ghost in a dark corner, their laptop glowing, voice low. Your Apex hack stirred the hive, Ghost said, pulling up files. Their algorithm's just the start, racist hiring, lobbying, maybe blood money. Marcus's pulse quickened. Rawls's seized files had hinted at this, now gone, but Ghost's network had deeper dirt. Apex's ties to supremacist groups funneled through shell companies. We can broadcast this, Ghost said. Global, untraceable. Marcus nodded, hope sparking. A worldwide leak could reignite the SEC probe, topple Hargrove. He worked with the collective, coding a live stream, anonymizing their signal through VPNs. Lena watched, wary. This is suicide, Marcus. Caleb, nearby, didn't look up, his trust shattered. Marcus's chest tightened, but he typed on, picturing Hargrove's empire in flames. The broadcast launched at midnight, Ghost's team hijacking Apex's servers, streaming proof of their racist algorithm and supremacist ties to 10 million viewers. Social media erupted. Duck Apex Unmasked trending, 5 million shares, comments raging. Shut them down. Hargrove's a monster. Riots flared outside Apex's tower, glass shattering, police overwhelmed. News networks looped the leak, Apex's stock crashing 20%, investors fleeing. Marcus watched from the warehouse, a grin breaking, Ghost slapping his back. "We did it, Tate." Lena's eyes softened, Caleb glancing up, a flicker of pride. Marcus felt like a king, the terrorist label fading, his name a rallying cry. "Protesters," chanted Tate. Tate, Hargrove's apology video, once a shield, now mocked, his boardroom in chaos. Marcus pictured him cornered, that smug grin gone, and savored it. The victory was a death sentence. At dawn, Ghost's phone buzzed, a warning. Mercenaries inbound. Hargrove, desperate, had hired killers, ex-military, to hunt Marcus. Tires screeched. Outside boots thudding. Marcus grabbed Lena and Caleb, sprinting through the warehouse's maze, Ghost shouting, "Go!" Gunfire erupted, crates splintering, the collective scattering. Marcus's heart hammered, Caleb's hand in his, Lena's breath ragged. They reached a back exit, but a black van screeched up, 3 men in tactical gear leaping out, rifles raised. "Marcus Tate," one barked, "drop the kid or die." Caleb froze, eyes wide. Marcus stepped forward, hands up, "Take me, let them go." The leader smirked, a slur in his teeth. "Hargrove wants the data, all of it." Marcus's stomach dropped. The collective's files, their proof, were on a drive in his pocket. He handed it over, the mercenaries shoving Caleb free, Lena sobbing. The leader pocketed the drive, then tossed a grenade into the warehouse. Flames roared, screams echoing as the hideout burned, Ghost and others trapped inside. Marcus, Lena, and Caleb fled, piling into a stolen car, the fire's glow fading in the rear view. News hit fast. Tate's terrorist cell burns, Apex vindicated. Hargrove's media spun the fire as Marcus's attack. The mercenaries erased. The collective's deaths pinned on him. Social media flipped. Tate terrorist trending. Comments vicious. Murderer. Psycho. The FBI tightened its net. Posters of Marcus's face on every corner. A $10,000 reward. Lena's voice broke. "You gave them everything, Marcus, and..." They still won. Caleb's glare was ice, his father a stranger. Marcus's hand shook. The drive's loss a gut punch, Ghost's screams echoing. Hargrove had baited him, the broadcaster trap to draw him out, the mercenaries his checkmate. The traitor, maybe Ghost, maybe closer, had tipped Hargrove, ensuring the raid. Marcus's eyes burned, rage drowning guilt. Hargrove thought death would end him. Wrong. He'd fight, for the collective, for every black man crushed, but the warehouse's ashes choked him, Hargrove's next move a blade at his throat. Marcus Tate crouched in an abandoned Atlanta alley, the 90-degree night air thick with the stench of garbage and gasoline, his stitched arm pulsing with pain as he clutched a burner phone, its screen cracked but glowing. The warehouse fire, set by Victor Hargrove's mercenaries, still burned in his mind. The screams of Ghost and the hacker collective haunting him, their deaths pinned on Marcus as a terrorist attack. Tate Ventures was obliterated. $30 million in lawsuits and rigged charges for cybercrimes, drug trafficking and now terrorism burying it. His townhouse seized, his motel torched, his family, Lena and Caleb, hunted, their eyes hollow, with despair. Hargrove, the silver-haired CEO whose racist snubs sparked this war, had twisted Marcus's global broadcast of Apex's racist algorithm into a federal manhunt, his face on every newsstand, a $10,000 bounty on his head. 38, a black financier who'd defied a $3.3 billion deal. Marcus was a ghost, the traitor in his ranks. Maybe Aisha, Carter, or closer, feeding Hargrove's machine. Lena's voice, a broken whisper, echoed, "You're losing us, Marcus." Caleb's silence was worse, his son a stranger, but Marcus's jaw clenched, his pulse a defiant roar. He'd end this for them, for justice, even if it meant his life. They hid in a derelict tenement, walls crumbling, rats skittering, a last-ditch refuge from the FBI's net. Marcus's only weapon was his mind, Rawls's lost files a faint memory. But Ghost's final words lingered. Apex's supremacist ties run deep, Tate. Hit them where it hurts. He hacked a public Wi-Fi using a stolen tablet and pieced together scraps. Apex's lobbying-funded hate groups, their cash flow a vein to cut. Marcus recorded a confession, raw, unscripted, his voice steady despite the pain. "I'm Marcus Tate," he said, camera shaking, exposing Hargrove's algorithm, his bribes, his killers. "This isn't just my fight, it's every black man's crushed by men like him." He uploaded it to a dark web server, Ghost's last gift, and broadcast it live, hijacking Apex's social media. The stream hit 10 million views in hours. Hacker Tate truth trending, riots erupting outside Apex's tower, glass shattering, crowds chanting his name. News networks looped it, Apex's stock crashing 30%, investors fleeing. Marcus watched from the tenement, a grin breaking, Lena's hand in his, Caleb's eyes flickering with hope. Hargrove's empire was bleeding, his boardroom in chaos, that smug grin gone. Marcus felt alive, unstoppable, justice within reach. The win was a death trap. Marcus planned a rally, a public stand to amplify the confession, coordinated with activists who'd rallied to his stream. The rally, set for noon in Atlanta's Centennial Park, drew thousands, signs waving. Justice for Tate, end Apex. Marcus hid nearby in a boarded-up shop, watching the crowd swell, his heart pounding. Lena whispered, "You're their voice now." "Marcus." Caleb nodded, a faint smile, his faith creeping back. Protesters chanted, cameras rolling, the confession looping on jumbotrons. Apex's headquarters, a mile away, was swarmed. Hargrove's mansion under siege, his private jet grounded. Marcus's chest swelled, picturing Hargrove cornered, the SEC reviving its probe, feds turning on Apex. He stepped toward the rally, ready to speak, to claim this moment. A glint caught his eye, a sniper's scope flashing from a rooftop. Marcus froze, instinct screaming. Hargrove's final card, a hired killer, ex-special forces, paid to end him on live TV. Marcus dove, shouting, "Lena, down!" The shot cracked, the crowd screaming, cameras swinging. The bullet missed Marcus, grazing his shoulder, blood soaking his shirt. But Lena collapsed, a red stain blooming on her chest, her eyes wide, gasping. Marcus crawled to her, cradling her, blood slick on his hands. "Lena, stay with me," he begged, her breath shallow, the crowd's chaos a blur. Caleb screamed, "Mom!" as medics pushed through, sirens wailing. The sniper vanished. Hargrove's plan flawless, the shot meant for Marcus but tearing his heart instead. News flashed. Tate rally turns deadly. Apex CEO flees. Hargrove, slipping through the riots, boarded a hidden chopper, vowing revenge, his media spinning Lena's shooting as Marcus's fault, a terrorist's chaos. Social media roared, Sakcham Tate killer. Trending comments vicious, murderer, monster. Marcus knelt by Lena, her pulse faint, medics working, his world crumbling. The confession, his triumph, was ash. Hargrove's sniper turning victory into tragedy. The traitor, maybe the rally's organizer, had tipped Hargrove, luring Marcus into the crosshairs. Caleb's sobs cut deeper than the bullet, his son's trust gone. Marcus's eyes burned, rage and grief colliding. Hargrove thought Lena's blood would break him. Wrong. He'd chase that bastard to hell, for her, for Caleb, for every black man crushed. But as medics lifted Lena, her hand limp in his, a chill hit. Hargrove was gone, his next move a shadow, and Marcus's fight was now a war with no end. Marcus Tate sat beside Lena's hospital bed, the Atlanta dawn creeping through blinds, the 90-degree air heavy with antiseptic and despair, his stitched arm throbbing as he gripped her limp hand. The sniper's bullet, meant for him at the... A rally had torn through Lena's chest, her pulse faint but holding, doctors whispering she'd survive. Caleb, 16, curled in a chair, eyes red, his silence a blade sharper than the shiv from Marcus's jail days. Tate Ventures was dust, $30 million in lawsuits and rigged charges for cybercrimes, drug trafficking and terrorism burying it. Their townhouse seized, their motel torched, their safe house burned, left them nowhere to run. Victor Hargrove, the silver-haired CEO whose racist snub sparked this war, had fled Atlanta in a hidden chopper, his empire battered but alive, Marcus's live-streamed confession crashing Apex's stock 30%, yet failing to end him. 38. A black financier who defied a $3.3 billion deal, Marcus was a hunted man, the traitor in his ranks, maybe the rally organizer, feeding Hargrove's machine. Lena's blood on his hands. Caleb's broken trust fueled his vow. Hargrove would pay no matter the cost. The hospital room buzzed with monitors, Lena's breathing steady but weak. Marcus hadn't slept, his shoulder wound from the snipers. Gray's burning, his mind replaying the rally's chaos, the crowd screams, Hargrove's escape. News looped on a muted TV. Tate rally massacre, Apex CEO vanishes. Hargrove's media spun Lena's shooting as Marcus's fault, a terrorist's trap. Tate killer trending, 4 million shares, comments venomous, butcher, psycho. The SEC probe. Into Apex's racist algorithm, reignited by Marcus's leak, stalled, feds chasing him instead, a $20,000 bounty on his head. Caleb's voice raw broke the silence. You said you'd protect her, Dad. Marcus's chest cracked, no words enough. He'd fought for justice, for every black man crushed by men like Hargrove, but the price was Lena's blood, Caleb's faith, his soul. Yet his jaw clenched, rage a lifeline. Hargrove was out there, licking wounds, plotting worse. A text pinged, anonymous. Hargrove's in Barbados, villa on Coral Bay. Marcus's pulse quickened. Ghosts Collective, some surviving the warehouse fire, had tracked Apex's private jet. Hargrove, thinking himself untouchable, had fled to a Caribbean hideout, his accounts frozen but his allies deep. Marcus kissed Lena's forehead, whispering, I'll end this. Caleb's glare followed him, a silent plea. Don't die. Marcus slipped out, borrowing cash from a nurse who'd seen his confession, her eyes fierce. Get him, Tate. He bought a burner laptop, a fake passport, and a one-way ticket, his plan reckless but clear. Infiltrate Hargrove's villa, Forza E. Confession, stream it live. Apex's supremacist ties hinted at by Ghost were his target, proof to bury Hargrove and his network. Barbados was a furnace, 95 degrees, the villa a fortress of white stone and armed guards. Marcus, disguised as a maintenance worker, slipped past security, a hidden camera in his glasses, heart hammering. The traitor's shadow loomed, maybe a hacker who'd survived, but he pushed it aside. Inside, Hargrove lounged by a pool, sipping rum, his grin smug despite the chaos. Marcus wired the camera to a dark web server, streaming live to Ghost's remnant network. He stepped forward, voice steady. It's over, Victor. Hargrove's eyes widened, then narrowed, a slur curling his lips. You're a dead man, boy. But Marcus was ready, quoting Apex's crimes. The algorithm, the bribes, the mercenaries, the sniper. Hargrove laughed, then sneered, spilling everything, unaware of the stream. I built Apex to keep people like you down, he spat, detailing supremacist funding, senator payoffs, a cabal shielding him. The feed hit 20 million views. The Hargrove confessed trending, riots flaring globally, Apex's stock zeroed out. Interpol stormed the villa, tipped by the stream, cuffs snapping on Hargrove, his face ashen. Marcus slipped away, the camera's battery dead, his alias holding. He flew back to Atlanta, exhausted but triumphant, picturing Lena's smile, Caleb's pride. Hargrove's empire was rubble, the SEC seizing Apex's assets, feds rounding up his allies. Marcus reached the hospital. Lena awake, her hand squeezing his. You did it, she whispered. Caleb hugged him, tears falling, his son again. Marcus exhaled, the weight lifting, justice won. He'd fought for every black man crushed and won. The hospital's quiet was peace. Atlanta's skyline soft through the window, a new dawn. A letter waited on Lena's tray. No sender, wax sealed. Marcus opened it, his blood icing. Neat script read, Hargrove was a pawn, the cabal lives, your next Tate. His breath caught, the room spinning. The nurse, the one who'd lent him cash, was gone. Her ID a fake, a cabal spy planting the letter. Marcus's fists clenched, the confession a spark, not an end. Hargrove's fall exposed a deeper rot, a shadow network of power, racist to its core, now targeting him. Lena's eyes searched his, Caleb's trust fragile. Marcus gripped the letter, eyes blazing, ready for war. The fight wasn't over, it was just beginning, and he'd burn their empire to ash, no matter the cost. Marcus Tate's battle against Victor Hargrove's racist empire reveals the brutal reality of systemic injustice faced by black individuals in America. The first lesson is resilience. Marcus, despite losing his firm, home, and nearly his family, never surrendered, showing that inner strength can defy even the most powerful foes. Second, systemic racism, from bribed judges to rigged arrests, is a machine that thrives on silence. Exposing it, as Marcus did through leaks and live streams, sparks change, even at great cost. Third, betrayal, whether from allies like Reverend Ellis or the unseen traitor, underscores the need for vigilance in alliances. Fourth, the fight against racism demands sacrifice. Lena's near death and Caleb's broken trust highlight the personal toll, yet Marcus's persistence proves it's worth it. Finally, Hargrove's downfall, only to reveal a deeper cabal, teaches that racism's roots run deep, requiring relentless pursuit beyond single victories. Marcus's story isn't just a tale, it's a call to confront injustice head-on, no matter the odds. Comment number 1 if you're inspired to fight systemic racism. Hit like to honor Marcus's courage, and subscribe and share to spread this truth. Thank you for joining this journey. May you stand bold against hate and build a just tomorrow.